Hello, hello! Let's talk about Annihilio. So, a few things before we start. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be titling this video 28 bill for the free-to-play account. Even though it says 27, I'll explain that just after I'm talking about the main teams. My main is using Archranger Black. This team has 94% Elemental on Archranger and 87 on Summer Sakura. My ult does not have Archranger Black, so with that in mind, I'm going to obviously do worse on the ult, but it's still able to do about 28 bill. These are the teams. I'm using Miranda on this. However, keep in mind, if you don't have Archranger Black, I do not use Miranda on the ult. The initial team did use Miranda, but I found out that it's just way better to use Litter with Raven. Now, if you don't have Raven built, it's a little iffy, but yeah. So, if you wonder basically why I built my stuff like this, originally this was the team, so Snow White is getting the buff from Miranda, so it made sense. However, moving my team around, I had to move Snow White here to get the most out of Crown and Privity. So because of that, I lost the target buff for Miranda, and I tried to run this. It is just worse than what I ended up running at the end. In the end, well, this is the actual attempt, but I did rerun that team specifically with stuff I didn't use, just to find out if I could do better, and I did find out a way to do better. So this is the team. Yeah, turns out Raven and Litter are, boosting your damage by about 1 billion damage. So if you're wondering why my free-to-play account is going to be listed down as 28 bill, this is why. It's just an extra bill I could have had, and I didn't feel like rerunning every team, because it's currently 2:43 in the morning, and I do want to get this video out for people that want to actually do their attempts on Saturday. So, yeah, please excuse me on this. But, yeah. So, going back to this, I don't think there's much to explain here. The main thing to note is that mana is reducing the amount of time I'm waiting on Neon to be able to shoot. The other thing is here I'm using Grave. I do not know how much better aid is overall, but because it is so difficult to burst gen with this team, and Grave fixes the problem instantly and makes it a no-brainer, I decided to run Grave here. It's just more chill. If you want to challenge yourself, run Aid instead. It's probably going to do a little better, but I don't think it's going to be that insane of a difference. Because the burst gen is so consistent between Grave and Mana, who also has burst gen fill, that at that point, it's kind of just better to just stick with this, in my opinion. Another thing to note is that there is no substitute for Raven on the Miranda comp for the ult. Reminder, I'm using Glitter here and Raven here. There is no other options because Privity is already used in a team, Maid Mask is already used in a team, the Mint and Prika are already used in a team, Bihara is already used in a team, so you don't really have a whole lot of flex options. If you don't have Raven built by now, though, I'm sorry, that's on you. You should have had her built for a long time now, considering she's one of the best Iron DPS in the game. And she's also flex, which means that she's easy to fit in. Even if we get a new Iron DPS, if they are burst reliant, Raven is not being replaced. However, you know, Eve or Red Hood will be replaced. That's just kind of how it is, right? So, yeah. This is how much I did. Keep in mind, again, there's an extra 1 bill I could have done if I actually used the right team. I don't have the time to run it now to actually change the number to 28. So, As per usual, I'm going to go through teams in team order of hardest to easiest. So let's talk about the Nayuta Helm team. So this one is probably the most annoying one. Litter is really good for this team, but it's a blessing and a curse. You will need to burst gen and be at the top of your game on that front. If you are not, you're going to fall behind, and as a result, you might fuck up the QTE for wind later in the fight, which means you're going to lose a lot of damage. As you see, wind has so little DPS options that I'm using 3 DPS that aren't wind in this team. So, yeah, it matters. You're going to see why burst genning matters, and I'm going to highlight it once we get to it. But for now, let's just talk about the boss. So the boss will spawn these dwarf boxes. You have to break them as soon as you can. These boxes will generate a shield that has to be destroyed before you can do damage. And yes, if you just break them, no problem. So you just want to break them. So you just burst gen, and then you just kill them with Nayuta, and there you go. The boss has a core. Abuse the hell out of it. Because Nayuta has a core damage boost in her kit. It's like the one thing she has going for herself. As you can see here, I'm targeting the thing and then swapping characters. So I can have 2 people shooting at it and break the parts sooner. If you fail to break both parts here, and the boss is moving forward, you have lost damage and should restart. Because the shield will simply spawn there, and that will make so your damage will fall down like a rod for a bit. Here there's 4, but you're mid-burst, so you can just break 1 or 2 with just Nayuta. And there you go. Because of Helm, you're going to just make everything a no-brainer. And another thing that you're going to see once you actually like burst gen properly and make it to the end properly is it makes a difference. It makes a massive difference. So, going to go quickly over this mechanic because I know there's quite a few people that are kind of confused. The boss will make a color in front of itself. This color is currently purple. That means the thing you have to break are purple. Like that. Once you've broken all 3 pieces, you can go back to the core safely, and the boss will stumble on itself, which means you can focus on doing damage. In the QTE dimension, SMGs are the best to actually deal with the circles. Or machine guns, but you don't always have access to those. So yeah, you want to burst as soon as you can. It's super important because it will make a big difference. The Witch's Crows are important to kill. With this team, not so much because you have Helm healing you non-stop. But yeah, as you can see now, the color in the middle is yellow, which means you have to break the yellow bits. And there you go. And now, we do not care. Because we are in the middle of Helm's Burst, you just don't care about this. You will survive the whole way through. The crows are back. You want to kill them. There you go. And there you go. And back to center. The core is in the middle of the ball of fucking whatever Snow White's weapon is. I fucking blanked on that. But yeah, you can simply just shoot at it. And here is why burst genning properly matters. Because if everything lines up, the QTE will spawn right as this is ending. Which means Nayuta will go back to her SMG. This matters because all of a sudden she's able to do the circles really fast. If you do not have this going for you, you will lose damage. Because as long as you're mid-burst, you will shoot very slowly, and you will not be able to do the circle fast, which means the other 3 DPS will suddenly do no damage for a while. So yeah, if you burst gen fast, you can just do the QTE that fast, and then back in we go. If you are slow on burst gen, and you end up hitting around 55, 56 seconds, and you could burst right there, don't burst, because you will be trapped in Burst City, unable to actually do the QTE at all, because you don't have enough time to shoot all 6 targets at the rate she shoots during burst. So pretty important on that. But yeah, other than that, it's just straight up damage. It's just pretty simple. I did fuck up on burst genning a bit toward the end of the fight. You're going to see that, but frankly, I lose someone so late in the fight, it doesn't matter. I could have burst gen better, so that Diesel would have been able to live this. But whatever. Diesel had all of her stack up, her buffs were up, so before dying, so the damage should be at least semi-decent from her, even from the grave. But yeah, as you can see, Raven does really well as a flex damage dealer, out DPSing Helm and Diesel, who were bursting on neutral. It is insane how good of a flex DPS she is. But yeah, 4.7 bill. Now let's talk about Team 2, Sakura Crown. So, if you're using Archranger Black, I didn't figure to record a clear with that done, because it's pretty simple. It's gonna play the exact same way, except projectiles might need to be shut down. Because right now, Snow White will just shoot all of them down whenever she does a full charge. Similar to what Nayuta does when she does a full charge shot. So, you know, it's a little less annoying to deal with, but for the most part, it's fine. If it's going toward Crown, you literally don't have to care. As long as you cover everything, you should be fine. From the big AoEs, I should precise. Because Crown should have her shield. So here you can see me fucking up. Because, as you can see, I killed one, but I did not kill the second one in time. The shield spawned. This is what happens if you don't break one of the dwarf... if you don't break all the dwarf boxes in time. The reason I kept it in is because it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, Snow White has Pierce, and she's mid-burst. So, goodbye. But yeah, you should focus on breaking them as fast as you can. If Snow White is not the one bursting, it's no trouble. But if you're bursting with Snow White, you want to prioritize shooting the core with Snow White's big beam. And then in between those big shots, you want to break the parts. So like this. Actually, you can see me do it right here. So like, I'm on the core, I shoot it, and then I go break one part, another part, back to the core. Then back to the other box that I missed. If you do it right, you will get more damage that way because you'll be able to core shot the big fuck-ass cannon. So, surprise, surprise, core shot do more damage. But, yeah, after that, it's pretty simple. You just... I mean, you've seen the Nayuta fight. If you've seen the Nayuta fight, you've seen them all. At the end of the day, Sakura is the most chill here. I will say one thing, in the QT dimension, I fuck up once again. I'm trying to just shoot with Sakura here. No, what you should be doing is shoot with Mermaid. Because Mermaid is an SMG. She shoots 30 times a second, whereas Sakura is shooting 12 times a second. Same thing with Archranger Black. The problem is my Mermaid was not in the middle, so I actually just couldn't do that while like seeing the whole boss. So that's why I ended up like this, but realistically, if you put Mermaid in the middle, you should be shooting with Mermaid the whole way through, because she reloads less. And yeah, as you can see, that was slow as hell. It's just really bad. I could have done way better. But yeah. I tend to prefer leaving example like that because it's a good example of stuff not to do, because, I mean, if I just play perfectly, then you don't get to really see it. Also here, another example. I'm mid Snow White burst, I hit the core, then I rush and break every single color and then go back to the middle for the second shot. So yeah, this is pretty important if you want to optimize damage with Snow White. I know it's the kind of shit that's like really obvious, but I feel the need to actually mention it. So when it comes down to these grenades, you can face tank the first one. Crown Shield will just blow up and you'll take no damage. The second one you have to cover. Especially if you use the Arc Ranger Black team. Once again, I shot the boss, then I killed the part and then went back to the core for the second shot. And yeah, pretty simple now. There's no issue here, it's a no problem. Keep in mind, Arc Ranger Black will make this team far harder to run. If I were to rank the difficulty, oh man, I think Arc Ranger Black is probably at least the second hardest. But the burst gen is so tight to get the most out of the litter team. I think it's kind of a little more annoying. Like, this is fine. Team 3, 4, 5 are just no-brainers, to be honest. It's kind of hard to fuck up. Here I just choose to tank it, because at the end of the day, the boss was already done. So, yeah. Also, I was able to just face tank it. And there you go. Keep in mind, my Sakura is kind of utter dog shit. But even then, she's kind of able to keep up with, like, Diesel and Helm. So, good enough. As long as you have the... As long as you have her, like, decently built, I think she needs, like, 7, 10, 7 to be decent. You should be fine. Next up, Neon Mana. So this team sounds a lot more annoying than it is. My mana is actually well built on this account, but it doesn't really matter in terms of damage. So with Grave, this is kind of a no-brainer. You can break all the parts so easily with no problem, and it's just a joy, to be honest. And as you can see with Neon just doing her thing, breaking the parts is pretty easy when she's the one bursting. So, yeah. Focus on hitting the core, and then here you're going to hit the dwarf box the second you go back and burst. But you kind of... So this is something you're going to notice in general with the upcoming 3 teams. They all have an explosive unit. I have Rappy as a burst one. I have Neon on this team, and then I have Anise on the last team. So all of them are just able to break all the parts without having to go to attack each individual one. This matters actually a fair bit because that means you can just shoot in the middle of all of them and they all blow up. As you can see with the burst gen, it is really fast like this, so you can just, you don't need to spam shoot with a sniper rifle, which helps a lot. But yeah. This is pretty chill. Just be careful because Neon is not consistent in how far the explosion reaches, so the balls are not always broken with her. But yeah, I mean, this is pretty obvious at this point. You just shoot the boss. To hell with most of the mechanics, since Neon can just deal with most of them. You just want to hammer the core as much as possible. Here, if you see that your burst runs out, just swap to mana to get the rest of the circles down. Or just swap in general to make it easier on you. Here, I just ignore all the crows, because Neon was, I think, mid-burst with firepower active, I think. So she was able to break all of them pretty simply without me actually dealing with it. Once again, you have to cover that. If you don't cover that, you will most likely die. But yeah, pretty simple team. I mean, this is one of the worst team you can have, but it gets the job done. Next up is Rappy and Eva. I will also say something in advance about the final team. The video is kind of semi-fucked. I knew I was lagging when I was recording, but I did not expect it to translate into the video. That's an absolute first for me, so whoops. That's on me. So the first, like, 1 minute of the fight is, like, pretty cooked for whatever reason. Again, sorry about that. I didn't feel like rerunning it again. Because, once again, I want to record this video for people who wants to get their run through on Saturday while they have time in the weekend to do it. But this boss overall is pretty simple, but it will catch you off guard here and there if you're not fast enough on stuff, which is pretty similar to how I felt about the Stellar Blade boss, Providence, where it was a fun boss fight that you had to actually be careful on how to tackle stuff because you had limited time to actually respond to all of the stuff he was doing. So you had to remember his kit to the letter, which is really fun. I do prefer bosses like that that are actually like telegraphed pretty well. As you can see here, I'm not even doing the balls because they get auto-cleared by Rappy. As I said, if you have an explosion character, aka anyone from the counters, you kind of don't need to worry too much about it. And here, I got hit. Doesn't matter too much. I'm going to heal back up from Prika and Mint. It is worth mentioning that you need to burst with Prika first, and then Mint. Some people still don't understand that much. I know this may sound like me being a dick trying to be like, I'm a smart ass, but genuinely, there are people that do not understand how this works. Effectively, Prika, the way she works is that she bursts once, and then the way Mint works with her is pretty simple. Mint is going to extend the burst from Prika every time that she's bursting. so that makes the Pricker Burst permanent as a result. But you need to burst first once with it, because otherwise you're extending nothing. So yeah. Another thing worth of note is that if you're using Mint for Burst like I am, in Phase 1 there's going to be parts you have to destroy, of course you know that. Shoot between the two of them to generate more burst. I mean, you can see me do it at the start of the battle. Every time there's parts to be shot at, I do actually just shoot at it with Mint to trigger burst gen, because, you know. Oh my goodness. Yeah, like this. Because since you hit 3 target, you burst gen 3 times, so you get good chunks of burst every time you do that. But yeah, that's that team. Asuka is still one of the best win DPS we have in the game. As depressing as that is. I think the only DPS that's better right now is Liberalio, SBS, and Archranger Black, funny enough. Although Archranger Black might depend on the boss, because you need to break stuff to have more uptime with her armor. But every time she's bursting, she should have the armor on, because she gets enough battery for it to last the whole full burst. So, while her damage will drop on bosses that do not have parts to break, it should still, in theory, be pretty high. Just not as high as this Asuka. Last team, as I said before, this team is going to look buggy as all fuck. My PC kind of just lagged on this boss. I did not expect it to just completely fuck up the video. So right now it's fine, and now it's no longer fine. Sorry about that. It's going to jump ahead a bit. Actually, I might as well. Yep, and then it lags again with 900 million on board since. And here it goes again. Again, I'm really sorry. I didn't realize that the file was completely fucked until I started recording. But it is what it is. And now we're on phase 2. And I think now it's fine for some reason. Something about phase 1 is very laggy. I don't know. But if you care about how did you deal with the part on that team, all I have to say is just run the team and you'll see it's not that deep. To do the QT, of course, Mass is the best option because everyone else is slow. And yeah. So the way Anise works is that she has exploding rockets that cover a large distance. So similar to Neon, except she is always on as long as someone is bursting. She will just break every part in phase 1 if you just shoot in the middle. So yeah. Other than that, I mean, the boss is pretty pathetic. This attack you will just face tank, it doesn't matter. You just heal too much. Like, look at my health. Do I look like I'm in danger? Not really. As you can see, because of Anchor, I keep healing, so... Basically, since nothing can really touch me, except like a laser here and there, I'll just get back to full HP pretty quickly. Here is the part that kind of sucks. As you can see, I am bursting. I am shooting with SBS. Liberalio needs to full charge to actually shoot. That's not good enough. It's too slow. So you have to shoot semi-fast. You can spam shoot as much with SBS. But you can shoot at a decent pace to actually hit all the circle as fast as you can. This is because Anise does good damage herself. And realistically, if you have 6 ammo, break all the circle and then burst. Otherwise, I mean, if you're under 6, you can just burst to just refill your ammo so that you can actually do all the QT. So yeah. If you want the most damage out of it anyway. But yeah, I mean, this is pretty simple. You just DPS the boss down as much as you can, hitting the core as much as you can. If you're about to run out of full burst, just try to do a charge shot with Anchor so you can get back into full burst instantly. Other than that, I mean, yeah, that's kind of it. You just DPS as much as you can. Also, if you wonder, if you have a better Liberaglio, is it better to burst with Liberaglio first? No. Scarlet does way better because you have a lot of times where you have to just DPS while the boss is off screen. SBS will be able to just shoot, whereas Liberaglio won't a lot of times. It really just the QTE, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what the reason is for SBS to do so much better than Liberaglio. Usually they're either neck to neck or like Liberaglio is falling behind, but no, nowhere near that much. But yeah, no, in this case, SBS just does way better. So it's better to keep masked with her. And with that, that's every team. So once again, these were my main teams. If you have Arc Ranger Black, if you don't have Arc Ranger Black, these are my alts teams. With the exclusion of Squad 3, because Squad 3, you really just want to use the top team here. And with that said, I hope that helped enough for people who actually struggle with that boss. And with that, I'll see you all in the next one. Have a good night, I suppose, considering it's 3 in the morning. I'll see you all on the next one. See ya.